Hi there. This is Fred Venn with the Benesky Museum. I'd like to share a brief story about one of our more amazing pieces in the museum. Today, we're going to be looking at the main hall of the Benesky Museum. The main hall is comprised of some of our Ice Age mammals, including a mastodon, an Irish elk, and an amazing Columbian mammoth. Our focus of today is going to be the large mammoth, the Columbian mammoth, over to the right-hand side. Well, the Columbian mammoth, a long time ago, again, I guess maybe the best way to approach it is once upon a time, in Melbourne, Florida, there was a farmer named Singleton who was working his farm. And as he was working his farm, he was trying to plant orange trees here, there, and everywhere. He was digging the ground up. And as he was digging up the ground, he knocked up some bones, some big bones, bones that were larger than anything he'd ever seen. Well, our farmer decided to contact the Smithsonian Institution. And he contacted the Smithsonian, who was working with an Amherst College faculty member at the time, Frederick Loomis. And Frederick Loomis said, "I'd love to come take a look." So Loomis went down to Florida. Frederick Loomis spent a good deal of time digging and digging and digging, pulling out the parts of the mammoth. Another mammoth and 40 other large megafauna were all part of the same dig. Well, the mammoth that came back to Amherst came back in hundreds of boxes, piece by piece by piece, came onto campus, and well, a technician and Loomis and students worked together to put it together and finally display it in 1925 in Webster Hall, where it stayed for nearly 25 years until just after World War II, where it was moved over to the Pratt Museum, which was a gymnasium at the time, but it was transitioned into a beautiful museum. That museum was closed in the early 2000s, and it's created into a dormitory today, but the material was all moved from the Pratt to its present location at the Benesky Building in 2006. Well, you'd think the story would end with that, but it's just the beginning, because a couple years later, in about the year 2012, we had a researcher come in. She was looking at our mammoths. She was studying mammoths all throughout North America. And she said, "I have some questions about your mammoth." We said, "Go ahead." Well, she asked, "How old is your mammoth?" And we said, "Oh, we don't know." And they said, "Do you know the gender? Do you know what sex it is?" And we said, "No, we don't know." She said, "Can I answer those questions for you?" I said, "Well, so we're so excited. Please, please do." First thing she did is she pulled out the biggest pair of calipers I had ever seen. That's the tool located right above the mammoth's head here. That caliper is used to measure the width and the height and the depth of the skull. Using those measurements, she determined that our mammoth was indeed a male. And then she said, "Well, the age is easy." And I said, "Well, how do you get the age?" She said, "Well, we look at their teeth." "Their teeth?" "No, no, no, their teeth, their tusk teeth." "Oh, tusks." And she said, "Yes, that's a tooth that's ever growing. It grows a little bit longer and a little bit wider every year. And because it grows longer and wider every year, you can actually drill a hole in, core it out, and count the layers of growth on that tusk to determine how old it was. And your mammoth was about 46 years old when it had died." Well, she left our museum, and maybe 4 or 5 months later, she emails us a little note and says, "Hey, I've got some more information about your mammoth. We found some incredibly rare hair." I said, "Rare hair?" She says, "Yes, hair is quite rare with mammoths of this type because these are not the ones that get buried, in tundra. But we found some mammoth hair of a Columbian mammoth in a cave, and it was mummified. And we learned that the hair happened to be a beautiful, beautiful color of red, a gingery color. So our red-headed 46-year-old male mammoth walked into a bog and got stuck some 10, 15,000 years ago and then was found 100 years ago by a farmer and our own Frederick Loomis. Well, that mammoth made such an impact on our campus that as recently as 2017, the campus went through a process of selecting its first ever official mascot. And that mascot ultimately became our mammoth. And the day it was chosen, students from all over campus came into the museum and started drawing pictures of the mammoth, trying to figure out how to represent the college. And they came up with a name. And they named the mammoth Bebu. Now, it's an unofficial name, mind you. And we said, "Well, where in the world would you get the name Bebu from?" Well, our mascot, and I'm going to go to the next slide here, and you can see that our image of the mascot is here at Amherst College, and Bebu is here. Bebu means Benesky Building. B-U, Benesky. B-U, Benesky, and B-U, Building. Those are the letters used for course catalogs for courses that are offered in the Benesky building. And students, recognizing that combination, said, that's a wonderful name for our mammoth. Well, that's a brief story about our mascot, our mammoth, and a little bit of our college history. Again, this was Fred Venn with the Benesky Museum of Natural History. Have a great day. Bye-bye.